Scott, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Just to let you know, nobody will be able to see you. We're having some issues with our monitors, our TV
That's
monitors.
probably good for them, right? That makes everyone
That's
happy.
right.
That's
Yeah.
right. All right, thanks, Scott. All right, ready.
No problem.
Oh, almost like right?
He's a good voice from above. Or below. I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Avalon City Council for January 20th? Nope, 30th? 30th. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could please have a few moments of silence for Pat Hall. Please be seated. And when you're ready, roll call, please.
Councilmember De La Rosa? Here. Councilmember Lavelle?
Here.
Councilmember Schickling?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ponce?
Here.
Mayor Marshall?
Here. There were any announcements or written communications?
Not this time.
Well, okay. City manager report?
Thank you, council. Just briefly, because I know it's a special city council meeting, but it's kind of working on a theme. This is really, we devoted transit issues to tonight's meeting. As you can tell, we're really excited about some of them. As you can see, if you came in, we have our new GEM 6-passenger vehicles arrived today, just kind of coincidentally. We ordered these back in June, and if you recall, we had some funding, grant funding for these. So, back in June when we kind of pushed these through, they came today. So we have them here. 4 of the 5 came today. There's one more, and there's still one additional of the white Ford electric passenger vans that we'll be adding, and that will be the fleet, those 7 vehicles. So those vehicles are what we will be rolling out in the spring as the new public transportation in the city. So we're very excited about that. The only thing I wanted to mention for the residents out there, tomorrow, beginning at 8 a.m., Clarissa and at Beacon, that intersection will be closed for the day. Public Works will be out there with Jordal. It'll be closed at 8 a.m., hopefully open by 5 p.m. They're repairing a drain that crosses the road. So you will be able to use 3rd Street and up Catalina and get around. So, but they'll have signage out there marking it. So hopefully it'll just be one day. Right, Bob? Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and that's all I have until later in the meeting when we address these items.
Does the city attorney have anything to say, Scott?
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Council member reports.
I'll go first. Whoa.
I know.
I attended my first Cal Cities Environmental Policy or Quality Policy Committee. It was very informative. And let me just tell everybody, all the other members of the state of California have no idea how recycling works. They're all confused just like we are as to what goes where, what goes what. One of the things that was brought up is that they're looking at legislation that will require the packagers to say this is recyclable, where it goes. So they're working on that legislation. So that'll be real exciting that they will have to tell us
Nice.
where it gets dumped.
That's cool. But here, whenever she talks about it, and maybe Jocelyn, you could talk to this. There are some things that are recyclable in America, but not here.
It's just. So, but yeah, it's all over the state. It's just not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just not.
All right.
Yeah. And then the other thing was an email that we received. I received 2 in regards to AT&T pulling out. I'm sorry. Granted, I don't care for them, but I'm sorry.
Right.
Just to leave us high and dry.
Right.
I'd love to know what the justification is. So.
And how many does that impact? I have no idea how
Well,
many people-
anybody who has a landline here in Avalon,
Yeah.
and there's still quite, like, the businesses still have landlines.
Landlines.
So that just, yeah. We still have landlines in the city hall, so.
Right, and Edison still uses some AT&T infrastructure, so, yeah, it's quite disturbing.
Yeah, and there's nothing can be done about it, I guess.
And then one other thing, because one of the emails I got in regards to this was sent to my personal email. If it's regards to anything with the city, do not send it to my personal email. Please send it to my city email, because that just opens up that if somebody had questions, they could get into my personal email and look at things. So please, if you're sending me any information, send it in regards to city or anything going on in town, send it to my city email, which is mponce@cityofavalon.com. And then the other thing to my fellow council people, we do not respond to joint emails or texts. You need to respond individually to those, because it sets up a meeting and we can't do that. So I just, I'm done, Randy.
Okay,
Okay.
Yesenia?
A couple things for me. I do have a women's forum next week. It is actually a membership drive. It's Tuesday the 6th at 6 p.m. at the Metropole Conference Room. All are welcome. And I also have site council at the school. I do plan to meet with Supervisor Hahn tomorrow. And if weather permits, also with Senator Lina Gonzalez next week. But I have been in constant communications with Assembly Member Josh Lewandow's office, Lina Gonzalez's office, and I believe the communication is now starting with our Congressman Robert Garcia also, about all the various issues we kind of have going on in town. So it looks like they're all in trying to lend a helping hand. So that's exciting.
Give me an example of some of the issues that you're kind of addressing.
Or the hospital.
Okay.
I know a lot of people have been sending me emails about the new system at the Express and financial concerns. And they have certain connects that I think that either can clarify things for us or to see if they can help us. So that's in the works.
Good, okay. Miss Lang?
Not much for me. I had a busy week and I'm working on a lot of stuff. I did have a great meeting with Carl Johnson about the cannabis thing, because he had that business going for a while, so and he's pretty knowledgeable on that end. So, you know, we're kind of, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel, so I just decided to meet with him and see where he was at and compare notes and all that stuff. So continuing forward on that issue, hospital remains, you know, in the forefront, and hoping we can, you know, keep that going and all that stuff, but not too much to report.
I had a meeting with Assemblymember Lowenthal's office regarding the hospital as well. I think it's my third or fourth call with them regarding it, just to make sure that I'm available should they need us to do any kind of advocacy at the state level for the hospital. And then we'll be attending the Conservancy's public presentation / forum tomorrow. And I'm hoping that others are planning to attend for the sake of going to listen with open ears. I'm hoping that the conversation is a good one and that they will consider staying after to also answer questions that didn't fit within the form space that they provided on the sign-up form when you had to ask those questions ahead of time. I did want to speak to the meeting that happened on the 16th, as we weren't able to make comment after public comment on that day. So I'm going to read something, and I never thought I would have to do this. I almost made it 4 whole years without having to read a statement, but here we go. My ultimate goal is to see the hospital continue operation and remain open. I want to see it remain fully functional, maintain staffing and maintain services, and succeed in procuring the funding necessary to operate well into the future. I left the special meeting on January 9th pleased with the progress that had been made by the hospital staff and board. Their ideas and the full presentation that were provided by Jason Pere made sense, were clear in their intent, and provided clear direction as to what was going to happen next or what the options were next. This was not my original expectation of what was supposed to happen at that meeting. It was an improvement above where I thought we were going to be. We received a copy of the presentation when we arrived in council chambers. For me, that was about an hour before the meeting was scheduled to start. I greeted Jason respectfully and started to review the numerous emails we'd received from residents and hospital staff the day of the meeting. At the end of the presentation, I believed we all had an understanding of what was necessary to make the hospital sustainable long-term, which included primarily how the hospital was reimbursed. I had some questions regarding the new timeline that had been presented in the presentation of how to make enough cash flow stretch from the June date that was mentioned and bridge it to the gap in the fall that I believed when most of those summer funds that were made would be coming into their bank account. I was trying to calculate the gap, and that is what made me ask the questions regarding administrative costs. My questions stemmed from my personal and business experience over the past 2 decades and from the recent challenges the city faced as a result of COVID. In my mind, there was still a possibility of a shortfall for the hospital to remain operational and funded at the time when we would need them the most during the summer. That led me to ask the question of how the hospital was going to look at administrative costs. I should have clarified my language further, as I meant costs that were not necessarily required to provide services, but were at the top of the hospital structure: salaries for leadership, expenditures for housing and travel, for the sake of keeping people employed and the sake of keeping the hospital open. I even quoted The West Wing, which included the statement I mentioned about ensuring staff would stay on and paid, and that leadership would consider taking cuts before they laid anyone off. Those questions were not unreasonable, and we weren't going to be the only entity asking those same questions. I get that even those cuts will not fix the ongoing problem. Systemic change is needed to make the hospital sustainable, but it was surprising that even a consideration to ensure operating capabilities seemed entirely off the table. It frustrates me and saddens me that anyone would approach Jason's wife or daughter and make comments to them. They didn't sign up for any of this. And I feel for Jason and his past trauma, but those past situations are not this situation. We, city staff, elected officials, county and state representatives, we are all working to support the hospital, to support their staff, and to support Jason. So you can imagine my shock and surprise when emails were sent to hospital staff and the board attacking myself and 2 of my fellow council members. Contrary to Mr. Perez's 2 emails, I hold no vendetta against him. I don't have time or energy to waste on vendettas. I can barely carve out time to visit the library every week. We don't succeed as a community if he doesn't succeed. We don't function if there isn't a hospital. In no way did I want anything to happen to their staff. In no way did I personally or professionally attack Jason. I find it extremely angering that he felt it was appropriate to not only send out 1 but 2 emails defaming us for trying to help. I'm frustrated that I had to reassure my own mom that she would get kind service when she returned to the clinic next time for regular checkups. I appreciate that might not have been Jason's intent in sending those letters, but nothing that any of the staff or board claimed at that meeting on the 16th was due to anything any one of us said. And as the comments being made by the staff about hospital closure, that it would be our fault, I'm not on the hospital board. I don't work for the hospital. I will not start a petition to have anyone recalled. I will not start a petition to have anyone reviewed with their position, but that statement of it being our fault could not be further from the truth. Our goal is to ensure that the hospital remains solvent and remains open, and because of that, everything should be on the table. I reached out to Assemblymember Lowenthal's office on January 10th, the day after the first meeting, and expressed my encouragement by what had happened, and asked them to reach out to me if I could help in any way, attending meetings, going before boards, the assembly, to assist with legislative changes, or to help connect their team with people on the island, as I've done with every other thing we've worked on so far in the past 4 years. Well, 2 years for their office, but with other offices. I don't like bullying. I don't want anyone reaching out to Jason's family, and would ask that people have questions of Jason that they reach out respectfully in an appropriate manner and at an appropriate time. This probably means an email. And if you don't like emails being read in public, then you probably shouldn't write them. So please consider what it is that you're putting into email and how you're wording things. You can ask questions without being hateful and without being unkind. Above all, I dislike gaslighting even more than I hate bullying, and so I couldn't let the comments made at the 16th meeting go unanswered. I'm going to continue to fight for the hospital. I'm meeting with Janice Hahn hopefully tomorrow at the Conservancy Forum and have every intent of supporting the hospital and asking for her help and continued support and seeing how I can help her. We're in this together. There's no us and them. It's all of us. This is, we all rise when we all rise. So I just felt the need to state that and not let it lie with just those comments being made. I appreciate the community support over the past month regarding the whole situation, and I'm hopeful that we can keep moving forward on it. Thank you.
Anything else? That was pretty good. Thank you. Okay, I'm SCAG on Thursday, but I do it by Zoom. I don't go to Los Angeles. I don't know if somebody was going to announce that the hazmat pickup has been changed. Were you going to talk about that later, Jocelyn? Or just want to mention it quickly? Yeah. Or not quickly, just one minute.
Yeah, due to the weather, IDR, the hazardous waste disposal company, won't be able to transport their truck and containers to the island. So we're postponing it until Saturday, February 17th from 8 a.m. until noon.
That gives my husband a couple more weeks to get it together. Thank you. Okay. I will be attending the forum tomorrow night as well. I had signed up to meet with Janice, but if you're going to go, talk with her, and a lot of that's going to be hospital, and since the city manager's going, I'll bow out because I'll be getting off the boat and I don't have to run directly over. It was funny, I ran into somebody the other day, and they said, what's going on with the sheriff's department? I said, what do you mean? And they go, well, they're stopping people. And they're giving tickets, and oh my gosh, like they're being really harsh. Well, and I said, well, what about those e-bikes? So, and they go, oh yeah, but the e-bikes are still a problem. But I ran into somebody today whose son has gotten stopped twice for not stopping at a stop sign, and he's gotten 2 citations. So Sheriff's Department, thank you for getting on top of this, and we look forward to a little more of that till these kids can wear their helmets, stop riding tandem, and with less speed. And at some point, we might want to talk about governors on those things, because coming down from the golf course, they had to be going at least 45 miles an hour. It was insane. So I don't know what the answer is, but hopefully we can have discussions in the future. And that's it. So now we will go to oral communications. This is an opportunity for people to speak on items that are not on the agenda. You will be limited to 2 minutes and no action will be taken. No takers? Okay. Paul, we're missing you from the library. Okay, consent calendar.
First item on the consent calendar, only item on the consent calendar, is Waterside Project application for Newport Castle Adventures LLC. Asking council to make the finding that Newport Coastal Adventure LLC will have a substantial negative impact upon existing mooring, docking, or other anchorage facilities within the Avalon Harbor.
And Orrin, did you want to come up and speak to this, or council, do we have any questions or comments?
Warren Karstarf, Harbor Master. I'm available for questions.
I just wanted to make sure that the negative impact was due to too much congestion, the floats.
Yeah, so on cruise ship days especially, we're experiencing quite a bit of traffic on the floats attached to the pier. We're also anticipating a greater use of the mole floats with the larger cruise ships. So with all of this concerned, a lot of the businesses that typically ran off the mole are actually operating off of the pier now. And so this has impacted cruise ship days especially. So we're doing everything we can to make sure that we can promise the dock space to the waterside permit holders that already have permits. And but cruise ship days are generally the day that we really see the impacts. And to, in this case where this, they want to add the 48-foot vessel doing these whale watching trips, it's just so much impact on those floats. And I really can't see it. There's got to be some kind of cap to it.
Right. It's a big vessel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I agree, yes, with the mole coming up and all of that, it's gonna be
Right.
a little tedious anyway, so, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
I'm sorry, one more question. I know that there had been like some light ideas floated about possibly trying to extend the length or add an additional float at the end of the pier, in between the pier and the end float. Is that something that's been budgeted for, or is something that is coming down the pipeline at some point in the near future?
To make the end float larger, there's no plan that I have seen right now for the end float.
Okay.
You know, like that end float is being maintained, and so it's the same end float we've had for 25 years.
Yeah.
And then the 60-foot dock that's on the end of, or maybe it's a larger dock, but the coastal tours and the jet ski corp dock that's attached to the end float
Yeah.
is a larger dock and also buys us a lot of real estate. So in the summertime, all the additional parasail boats and shore boats, all of those boats are utilizing that space. So really, I think right now, as we look toward the future and try to develop areas with more float space, we're kind of caught with what we have right now.
For
It's
right
kind of
now,
like,
yeah.
this is what we have in the basket.
Yeah. My question, I think, is that I appreciate the negative finding because of that currently. I just don't know if it's something that this entity or other entities may look forward to a solution in the not too distant future, but I don't know how not too distant that future is.
Right. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean, I suppose the idea, you know, we could, but it's, that's a lot of planning too.
It'd be hard, for sure, and to have to add on
Because it
additional.
does change the aspect of the harbor. So the further you go out,
The more into the fairway you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to make the finding that Newport Coastal Adventure LLC will have a substantial negative impact upon existing mooring, docking, or other anchorage facilities within Avalon Harbor.
I'll second.
Call for the vote?
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Schickling?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ponce?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye. Item number 2, come on up, Jocelyn. We're gonna see a lot of you tonight.
Yeah, so the next 3 items are going to be Jocelyn. Her and Rocio have done a lot of work on this to present this to council. So item number 2 is transportation permit renewal. We're asking council to approve renewal of transportation permits for the businesses listed with the conditions set forth. Jocelyn.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So Rocio and I have been doing an audit of permits in general related to vehicles, and one of those audits was related to transportation permits. And the historical records we were able to find were incomplete. Businesses have changed owners. Some of the records we found, the permits had been expired. The code states that city council approval is required initially, and then every 3 years, the vehicle clerk administratively can renew those permits. However, Rocio and I thought that if we came to you tonight to renew all of the businesses that submitted their renewals, this would be an official record, it'd be in the minutes, and then our files would be up to date, and from here on out, then it can be a administrative function of the vehicle clerk. So that's why we're here tonight. Are there any questions that you have?
No, but this was a lot of work.
I have one question. Does the Seaport Village not have a van anymore?
No, they just had a little thing.
Let me see. Well, this is based off of what they submitted in their application for the renewal.
Okay.
So what's included in the agenda report is so the transportation permit is, obviously you know, is when you're transporting people. So they may have one or more vehicles assigned to their business, but this is the one that they intend to use for transporting people.
Okay.
Because I'm sorry, but this is all of them. These aren't ones, we're just, even though somebody's might have been renewed already, would they be on this list as well? if they got renewed last year, for example?
No, they're not on this list. So there's a couple that
yeah.
you've approved recently, yeah, in the last couple years, where the records are spot on and awesome, so we didn't bring them here tonight. These are only ones where, you know, I mean, we dug through all the city council minutes and meetings and files, and so this is the list that we came up with. And these are the people that responded to our notices too.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then my other question is on the Zane Gray, because it looks like they have 2 golf carts that traverse town.
The one on here, it says one. It says one on here, but they have
Yeah,
two.
that's what yeah.
So that's clarification we could see, but that could be another instance, and I have no idea, where maybe they're using one to transport people and they have another one for maintenance staff or something along those lines, but this is what was submitted in their application.
Okay. I just want people to understand there are eyes that sit at the corner of 3rd and Clarissa. And
they're attached
yeah.
to Michael.
And I hate being the narc, but it's a little irritating when you see people not playing fair. So, but I just had a question, because it just seems that they have 2 golf carts.
Okay, we can follow up.
Okay. And they both, yeah.
Okay.
And then Jocelyn, the only question I had was on the island companies. The minibus that they have is the 26 passengers, the front end of that vehicle. It's the open air tram. But I believe, unless they're not bringing it back, they still had the additional one that actually accommodates up to 46. So it's a double of that vehicle. I just don't know if that needs to be included as a potential for just additional capacity, or if it's not being utilized that way anymore.
You mean the trailer that's attached to the back for the extra passengers?
Yeah. I know it's being worked on right now, but I don't know if there's an intent to have it come back. It's the minibus is the one they use for like the Descanso transport, but then they have a double one that's for tours. So I don't know if it's a second minibus or if it's just one vehicle that they're not going to be using anymore. So if we can just follow up on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, is there no other questions? A motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal of transportation permits for the businesses listed below with conditions.
I'll second.
Call for the vote?
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Schickling?
Aye.
Councilmember Schickling? I'm sorry, Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fonse?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye. Thank you. Okay, Jocelyn, moving on to item number 3.
Item number 3, rental transportation permit renewals again. Approve the renewal of rental transportation permits for Brown's Bikes, Catalina E-Bikes, Catalina Business Enterprises, Inc., Catalina Island Company, and Island Rentals, Inc., with the stated conditions.
Okay, in the Avalon Municipal Code, requires all rental companies to apply and get city council approval, both initially and annually. So we'll put this on our, tickler file every year. We'll come back to council with a agenda report and action requested. So similar thing, historical files, hard to find out when this happened last. So we're here tonight to seek your approval. So the businesses that submitted their renewal applications include Brown's Bikes, Catalina E-Bikes, Catalina Business Enterprises, Catalina Island Company, doing business as Mount Ada, as well as the Island Rentals Incorporated. That concludes my presentation.
So the people that do the bike rentals that go into the interior, they don't have to deal with us?
So there is a company where they're transporting they're actually in the prior approval, they're transporting bicycles that people are bringing from over town.
Okay, but the ones that take them into the,
No, there's a company that takes the bikes up and you ride the bikes back in.
yeah, so that probably wouldn't count because they're not riding them in Avalon, they're just taking them into the interior?
No, I would think that would qualify.
No,
I
they
can
would be,
reach out.
they're riding in Avalon, they
Yeah.
ride back into town, they're riding in Avalon.
They're
So-
listed on the vehicle side, but not the bike side.
For a car,
Yeah.
not for the bikes.
It's for the,
Right.
it's for the
Right.
vehicle to take them
Correct.
up, but not the bikes
But
coming
they
out.
do have bikes as well.
Okay.
Because isn't that by Catalina? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just might want to check, and they only have a handful of bikes. But
And those are mountain bikes, not e-bikes.
no. And I
And-
ju- go ahead.
And then I have a question since I worked there at one time. I see the 7 golf carts for Mount Ada, but do they have a renewal on their transportation van that takes guests up and down the hill? Has that?
Yes, I
Okay.
believe that was in the transportation permit renewals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up there.
Okay. I just didn't notice it in there.
Yeah, no worries.
And I just have one other question. Is it required by the city of Avalon that all bicycles have licenses on them?
There is a municipal code that requires registrations of bicycles.
Okay. And I know that's nothing we've really ever gone after, but for these that we know are definitely on the road, we might want to follow up with that.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know what the council thinks, but if,
idea.
Yeah, I'll talk to code enforcement.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess you could send a letter out to them and just say if that's the case and remind them of the ordinance, then they can just come in and buy their sticker for their bicycles. Just a thought, okay. And again, all the other people in town that don't have any kind of license on their bikes. Because it'd be nice to get a handle on all of the e-bikes that are out there. Could be, yeah, it could be a thing that if we went up to the, working with law enforcement, went up to the school and all the bikes that were there did a little thing, and then we had their names and we could even give it to them for free, but in case
Yeah.
it's stolen or something, be kind of a PR thing and also maybe helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd actually like to see it as a future topic for a program with licensing
Yeah.
for bike owners as well.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that at another date.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Okay, any
we
other
talked-
questions or comments, or do you have anything, Deb? Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal of rental transportation permits for Brown's Bikes, Catalina E-Bikes, Catalina Business Enterprises, Inc., Catalina Island Company, and Island Rentals, Inc. with stated conditions.
I'll second.
call for the vote?
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Schickling?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ponce?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye.
Item
Alright.
4,
Oh.
I'm sorry, item 4 is just first reading of an ordinance amending Title 4, Chapter 4, Article 17, vehicle registration.
All right, similar thing, auditing records, going through vehicle permits. Notice that commercial rental autoettes have increased over the last few years. And that's kind of one of the complaints that city staff receives as people are not utilizing them for their intended use. So city staff came up with a recommendation to require all vehicle, full-size autoettes, it doesn't matter, to be marked with their business name that's provided on their application. And so the addition to the code would state all vehicles issued commercial autoette permits, commercial vehicle permits, interior commercial vehicle permits, and public service, public health and safety vehicle permits shall be clearly marked with the legal name or fictitious business name as stated on the vehicle permit application. The markings shall be clearly visible utilizing minimum 1-inch lettering.
I must say, I love this idea. I think it's-
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
This is so nice.
That concludes my presentation.
I'll make a motion to introduce and waive all future readings of an ordinance amending Title 4, Chapter 4, Article 17, adding the requirement to mark all commercial autoettes, commercial rental autoettes, commercial vehicles, interior commercial vehicles, and public service, public health, and safety vehicles with the legal name of the fictitious business name of the applicant.
I'll second.
And I have one other question before the vote. So, do all the commercial rental autoettes, do they all have that sticker, or are some of them given another sticker? It seems like some of them weren't all commercial at one point.
Correct. I believe that's one of the projects Rosie has been working on the last couple years. is making sure that rental autoettes are appropriately marked with the permit.
The
Yeah.
proper sticker?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Mayor, there is some difficulty in that, because some of the older ones, I mean, they have determined to utilize some even blue stickers in that regard, so we're trying to get that consistent, but all of those rental ones are marked of what this amendment would include anyway, so.
And it's not that they could do anything with that blue sticker at some point, right? Because it has to go to the person, I mean, I don't think they can just be given to somebody else randomly. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
All righty,
They still
thank
have
you.
to go to the field.
Okay, let's call for the vote.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Schickling?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ponte?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye. Thank you, good job, Jocelyn.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Yes,
And
Jocelyn.
Rocio.
Yeah, I want to thank Jocelyn and Rocio for the work. I mean, to go back in time to do a lot of that research is difficult with
Yeah,
our
it is.
records at best. So that was a necessary chore, and I think we'll see more of that over the coming months on some other issues that we're trying to clear up and present to you similar things across the board, just to get a point in time going forward where we all know where we stand. So
2024 is the year.
this might be the year. We'll see. Item five. Devin's going to come up and present this. And again, I just want to say a lot of work has gone to get to this point. Those vehicles that are out front, which are going to be part of this, was a lot of work researching those and getting those ordered and getting those here. It's a very exciting time. So Devin, item 5, Public Transportation Services RFP contract.
Good evening, City Council. I'm Devin Hart, Management Analyst. As the City Manager mentioned, you authorized the procurement of those vehicles, the 5 GEM vehicles you see outside, as well as 2 E-Transit Ford vans to accommodate our public transit system back in June 2023, and that was through grant funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. To go with those vehicles, staff made the determination with council's direction and guidance that it was time to kind of reimagine and revision, develop a new vision for public transit in Avalon. So we solicited on October 17th, the council authorized us to solicit a request for proposals. That request for proposals was actually solicited on November 3rd. It was a really competitive process. The bid date was extended from its original date on January 5th to January 24th, and we received 4 proposals. After review of the proposals, city staff was really excited to make the recommendation to you tonight to award the contract to Circuit Transit, Inc. Our requested action is to award the contract and then authorize the city manager to negotiate the final scope of services and contract terms. Circuit was a really exciting pick for us because they have over 13 years experience in developing and operating microtransit solutions for other cities. They currently operate in more than 40 markets across the United States, and that includes Long Beach, Belmont Shores, Oceanside, and San Diego. Because of their proximity to their other operations geographically, their ability to upscale services in Avalon based on our fluctuating seasonal and special event need will be really seamless in moving resources from one area to another. Circuit fully intends to retain any drivers from the existing providers. The redesigned public transit system, it's what's really exciting and cool with this whole new project, is that our entire fleet is going to be a zero-emission electric fleet. It's going to be those 5 microtransit vehicles and those 2 Ford passenger vans that we mentioned as well. It's going to be a completely point-to-point on-demand system. So we're sunsetting the fixed route and incorporating Dial-A-Ride into that public, that point-to-point on-demand system. Rides will be able to be hailed by phone, through an app, or on the street. If you see one driving by and it doesn't already have a ride, you can wave them down. We'll also procure, that you allowed us to procure back in June, are those digital signboards. So there will be technology in there as well where you can hail a ride directly from where you're standing at that digital signboard, and I'll give you an ETA as to when the next transit vehicle will be arriving, and then you can hop in it to your destination. It's a fixed fee of just $2 per rider. There's an additional fee if you need to go up to the Botanical Gardens or up to Hamilton Cove. But if you can just imagine, it's a $2, you won't be, our goal overall was to alleviate congestion in our downtown area, both with residents or anyone going over and parking downtown so they can catch the boat, or even just going to the beach. If it's a $2 ride and you don't have to think about parking, it really makes it really seamless and easy. We're excited about all the possibilities. We're going to be coordinating with residents. We're going to be working with Circuit to coordinate with residents and get some marketing information out. There's no bus service that gets the kids from Pebbly Beach Village up to Avalon schools, so that's a real exciting little highlight on this program, is we'll be able to get kids to school more efficiently. The Circuit process, the app can work with businesses, so we're just at the beginning, but the possibilities are really endless in this moment, because our business partners, we mentioned the Zane Grey, they'd be able to work directly with Circuit and buy rides for their customers, and then their customers could just enter a coupon code, and Circuit would come and pick them up and take them wherever they're going in town.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. So our next steps after council's direction tonight is we're going to finalize that scope of work and settle the contract terms. We'll be bringing the contract back to City Council at a later date for your approval. And then we're going to be in implementation of the new contract and the transition of bringing the new operator over. That's going to include a lot of marketing, getting the word out about this awesome new service that the city is offering. And we're anticipating that it'll take approximately 100 days from tomorrow maybe to get that all done. That's what I have.
We must have questions.
I did have a question, because we have the chart with the rest of the vendors and their proposed offerings. And then we also see, all the finances of it. But I did see that some other vendors did offer free for residents or qualifying residents, but I didn't see that for Circuit. Is that something that's up, that could still be on the table for us to discuss with them?
We can pitch it to Circuit. So the original RFP was really broad, and we just asked our any potential vendor to just kind of tell us what you think your best idea is as professionals and leaders in your field. What do you think would work for our community? And we included that a free to nominal rides. What Circuit's done through their market research, because they've implemented this in a number of other communities, is that as long as the fee is nominal, like $2, that there's no decrease in demand or ridership, because it is such a reasonable fare. It helps track in case there's damage on the vehicles or anything like that. It gives the rider a little bit of a buy-in to the process, but it's definitely something that the city manager can use to negotiate.
I know it's just $2. It really isn't a big deal, but those $2 would make a difference to someone saying, I'll just take my golf cart and park it. You know what I mean?
Or kids ride free, or
something like that, take the kids from Pebbly to school for free, something along those lines.
I think I'd like to see, even if it's not residents free, I'd still like to see the dial-a-ride included as part of that discussion as well. Currently, the dial-a-ride is how much?
$2.
It is still the same?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know if we can do something with that part of the population possibly, just because I feel like they would be getting greater use out of this even than traditional residents would, but yeah.
And I would just add, of these bidders, it was a very competitive process. They were all made great proposals, and there's so many give and takes on all of their proposals. What's listed here are kind of the highlights, but there are some that, when you look at the give and take and what they could add overall to this system with a completely new fleet that we're handing them, and saying, come up with your ideas to make it creative and the best way to handle for Avalon. When we saw that and saw all the differences, we have Transportation Concepts, who we've had a relationship with, has done a great job. This isn't a knock on them. We have a local company that wanted to do it. It's certainly not a knock on them. It's just what Circuit brought to the table overall with the give and take on that kind of made them stand out.
And did we say how much money do we throw into this?
Well, we have funding through Metro on this on an annual basis that would cover our intent is to fully be able to cover this with what we have regularly received through our grant fund.
How much did we do last year? How much was our grant last year? Do you know?
I believe it was $750, and I think the city threw in an additional 80 to 100.
So that's why everything's in the six, so they must have had an idea of the money we had available.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And the only thing, when you're negotiating, I would really like to see something go past 7 o'clock. And if we're gonna be able to snatch and grab them when they're going down the road, but I mean, the cabs stop in the winter time at early.
Yeah.
And then I think at winter, I don't know that they go to midnight.
In the winter, on weekends, they do. When
Till
the bar- when the-
midnight?
Yeah, when the
No.
bars are open.
But I think if you can negotiate some later times than what they're all saying here, that would be nice.
Yeah, I think the minimum, what we had asked for in the RFP was to mirror, or at least mirror, the Catalina Express schedule. and with some flexibility in that, so we're certainly looking to negotiate that,
Yeah,
yes.
please do, because they seem really early to me. Okay, council, what's your pleasure?
Mayor
Right.
Marshall?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was just gonna say, you didn't see your hand there.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, respected council members. My name is Rich Rogers. I'm the EVP COO for Transportation Concepts. I want to begin by thanking the city, the residents, and the community at large, as well as our employees, for the opportunity that we've had to be able to provide services for the last 8 years. We've established and maintained a very good relationship with the city, and we feel we've done an exemplary job. We were ecstatic when the RFP came out because it provided an opportunity to redesign the service, and we appreciate the vision that all of you had in that regard. We put together a comprehensive proposal. We identified specific things that we felt that were extremely important. Being that we're the incumbent for the last 8 years, we kind of know the island, we know the community, we know what the needs are. So we centered our proposal on that. We put together a proposal that incorporated the point-to-point service, similarly the microtransit, as well as the dial-a-ride, enhancing the dial-a-ride service and a fixed route that was what you call a deviated fixed route. Ultimately, that would be much more of a convenient operation in total for the city of Avalon. We also introduced the concept of zero fares for that first year to try to build up that ridership. And then we could look at the fares in the coming years. We had the same kind of concept with an app. We were partnering with a company called the Routing Company. They do microtransit all over the country, very well known and respected. So what I wanted to do, though, is I wanted to point out a couple of things in the process of this procurement that were concerning to me and our organization. I truly believe that this decision to go with Circuit Transit was predetermined. And I'm going to tell you why in just a second here. There are a couple of red flags that stood out for me. Back on the January 16th City Council meeting, your city manager in his normal report spoke about awarding to a new transit provider. And I thought that was kind of strange because, I mean, I could understand if our company had not been performing well, that would be something that could be said. But as you guys know, we've done an exemplary job for the last 8 years. We've worked in partnership with the city. We've done everything we possibly could to enhance the service under the current design. So I thought that was kind of strange. When the RFP came out, they got delayed and extended with a deadline for the proposals to be received by January 24th. That was last Wednesday, okay? And in the criteria for evaluating these proposals, it identified the particular things I'm going to note. No conflict of interest, clarity, conformance, and content of the proposal, proposal's experience and performance, team members' experience and performance, fee proposal, and references. Now, as you're aware, there were 4 proposals that were submitted by the deadline. Now, I know Circuit Transit had, their proposal was like 89 pages. Ours was 122 pages. So there's a whole lot of reading to be done, right? So if you look at, and the other 2, I'm really not sure what they had, but ultimately there was a lot to evaluate. The evaluation period was a day and a half. Your staff report was written by Friday, the 23rd Friday the 30th at 5 o'clock. Now, I've been in the industry for 40 years. I've been in executive positions for 25 of those years, working with both public transit agencies like LA Metro, as well as private transportation companies. And I've never seen anything quite like that. I mean, I've been a part of hundreds of procurements. So to me, it just did not seem right. And at this point, I'm just urging the city council to look at the procurement process, to reevaluate how this came about, delay the award, and then allow the decision to be made later. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Go ahead, Deb, if you want to respond first.
if I may, we received the proposals at 2 p.m. And I took them home. I read every page, every word of every page. We had a 3-member procurement team that did the initial review. It was myself, Finance Director Matthew Baker, and City Manager Maestros. I know Matthew Baker read every proposal word for word as well. We compared our notes and ranked the proposals on I ranked my proposals on a scale of 1 to 10, and we reached consensus, and that's what we bring before you tonight.
And I would just like to say, I spent all Wednesday going through them. Yes, it was a lot of information and comparing them, and then all Thursday, and we had a meeting on both Thursday and Friday prior to this. I mean, we are under a tight deadline. Because we're under a tight deadline does not mean that we committed fraud or predetermined anything. I think it's a little, it's quite a stretch to say because you did this quickly, you did it improperly. That's not the case. We have a deadline that we're trying to meet to give whoever takes this contract over enough time to ramp up before it starts on April 1st. And if I made any comment about a new operator, it was because we have an RFP out there. Transportation Concepts has been out here 8 years without, and we finally went out for an RFP, which I think was long overdue to allow competition. And when you allow competition, you allow better results, and I think that's what we have here.
Council?
I'll make a motion to award a contract to Circuit Transit, Inc. for the public transportation services to authorize the city manager to negotiate contract terms. The final contract will be brought before the city council for final consideration and approval.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Schickling?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ponce?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye. Thank you. Item number 6.
Item number 6, seeking to authorize professional service contract to assess the condition of the Avalon wastewater treatment plant. Bob?
Good evening. So one of the current tasks in the city's wastewater treatment plant capital improvement program is to list, on its list, is to evaluate the condition of the plant and complete of necessary improvements, and we do this on a regular basis. The plant is past 50 years old now, and you can consider that the harsh environment that's out there next to the ocean, and then also the source of our toilet water makes a highly saline environment for it. So it goes through, a harsh and short life on a lot of its components. And we're seeing that, as the mayor brought up, is like, why do we keep on having these repetitive requests to get capital improvements done? And so we're at that point right now where we have renewed interest to evaluate the plant for its renovation, replacement, or ability to reuse the water that's now being sent to the ocean. There's new technology out there, and there's also, with the permitting agencies, the potential in the near future for direct potable reuse. Whether this community wants that or not, it is, we do have the ability to evaluate that. So this evaluation is the first step in the process of studying those alternatives, and grants and low-interest infrastructure loans are available to design and build these facilities. So the applications for such funding will be based on this assessment to start. So this is the first step in the process.
Okay.
We have evaluated the plant within the studies of the reclaimed water. We got stalled because of the nature of our dual piping system and the division of drinking water. So now with direct potable reuse, there is maybe the ability to take a look at this again.
Cool.
So PERT, the city's current contract wastewater treatment plant operator, has drafted a proposal in the range of $68,000 for the initial cost estimate. And that will look at every component of that, structural, the plumbing, all the concrete, all the surfacing, all the pumping, all those different parts and pieces. And so then what we're asking you tonight is we're requesting authorization for the city manager to negotiate a contract for not to exceed amount of $80,000. And we'll finalize those details as we negotiate.
And it's interesting, I got recontacted by Val Finkel with 7Cs, and they do exactly what you're talking about in terms of recycled water. And they were here like 3 years ago or so.
Yes, they were.
So they sent that back to me again, and one of the representatives would like to meet with someone, and then, because they're also out of San Diego, and like to come and visit and chat with us. So I don't know when would be good, but we can talk about that later. But excellent. Okay. I'll authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a professional services contract to assess the condition of Avalon wastewater treatment plant for a not to exceed amount of $80,000.
I will second gladly.
Moved in second. Call for the vote.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Schickling?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ponce?
Aye.
Mayor Marshall?
Aye.
We're swinging into 24, man.
It's
If
getting
there's
done.
nothing more to be discussed, meeting's adjourned.
Night, Tony, if you're watching.